Well, folks, today is the end of Future Week, aka the Sarcastic Bomb, aka the Marathon, aka oh my god, my anxiety is back. That's all good, because today is the end. And I'm sure the creators left the best for last.
Can't help it if my dumb heart misses you guys.
Here, please hit me as hard as you can.
Oh, Steven! We'll still be your friends.
Even if we're light years away.
Don't hold back.
Little Graduation, aka the one that gave me a concussion after having the message constantly hammered into my head. Plot proper begins with tape over vinyl Steven listening to another one of Sadie's songs.
Teens by day, but every night we're Sadie Killer and the Suspect.
Stick to SoundCloud, kid. Probably too good for sweets now, Steven is picking up a cake from the immortal zombie Lars' shop. Then, as if called in by a drum circle, Sadie pops in.
Sadie! Oh my gosh, I can't remember the last time we were all together in a pastry establishment.
Or that time she trapped everyone on an island? Or when he left her to die? Remember all the toxic good times? Steven doesn't. Better off single Lars and Sadie seem to be on good terms now, despite everything. We also learned they aren't together anymore.
He's dead! Yes!
Not good with change, Steven is heartbroken. Lars realizes he's better off and is heading back into space. Anakin Universe can't handle letting go. So this revelation freaks him out. We get slapped in the face with the message again.
You get it right. You're finished setting up the school. Don't you want to try something new?
Well,
Was Steven Universe always this heavy-handed? Later at the graduation, the off-colors finished school. I feel like they would be the ones that would need this the least, because they were always on their own. The graduation speaker is going through his midlife crisis, but he gets through it without making a scene. Wait for it. In the after party, we meet Sadie and her partner, Shep. Whoa, what the hell was that? That was Tumblr losing its mind, sir. Over what? Shep, sir. They're intersex. Yeah, that does sound like Tumblr. So Sadie and her new boo are here to make Steven incredibly uncomfortable, as he was in the pipe for Lars and Sadie. He even brings up the island, which would be cute if it wasn't so horrible. Making a big deal Steven is making things a problem. Edgy Lars shot. Incoming panic attack talks to Kiki's sister. I know what her name is, but that's how I always remember her. KS reveals that the band is breaking up. Everyone is moving on with their lives, and she's gonna start her own failed business. The only other healthy relationship in the show is ready to perform. Everything is awkward now. Steven can't stop making things worse. They play. I'm looking for, are you kidding me? Come on guys, that's a little bit on the nose even for you guys. Watch out guys, next song is gonna be Steven, My Depressed Life, followed by Sunstone's The ABCs of Mental Health. Sad enough, Lars decides it's time to head out, which no friends his own age Steven is scared of him leaving, despite the obvious.
Dude, you can visit me whenever. I'm like your magic portal, remember?
Powers our emotions, Steven traps all of his friends in a bubble, so they can't leave. Do you get it yet? How much more obvious do we need to be? Steven says this is all about Lars and Sadie, but they've already worked things out on their own. Man, why is everything I want to see in this show happening off screen? Screw the Earth, Lars just wants to go back into space with his crew, and Sadie is happy with Shep, so everyone knows who has the real problem here. The bird cage starts getting smaller, then of course, because it wasn't obvious enough, Shep spells it out.
Oh, it just seems like you're sad about all your friends drifting away. So you trapped us all in this dome to keep us from leaving.
Cage gets tighter, Steven is nothing without helping people. He has to learn to let people live their lives, his friends still love him, and that's all it takes to remove the bubble. Then, after that massive display of poor mental health, everyone ditches Steven, but not before Steven gets that one hug from Lars. Story ends with moving forward, and Steven has decided to quit little homeschool. Prickly pear. Steven can't talk to the gems, so he complains to a cactus instead. Steven has quit being a teacher, and now is obsessively gardening. Yes, obsessively, as in he's naming all the plants after the friends that left him. The introvert's dilemma. Do you hide in your house waiting for your friends not to call you? Or do you go outside and go make new ones? Well, I know what I picked. Working on his cactus, magic spit happens, so then he comes back the next day to find that it's alive. And it looks like every other small cute creature in the show. He shows it to the selfie-taking gems, Pointlessly dramatic Amethyst is pointlessly dramatic. They appeal to Steven's ego by naming it Cactus Steven. What, no sports objects to hit you for inspiration this time? Taking it to the beach. Forgot the movie's lesson Steven has difficulty changing, despite that being the lesson of the movie. No self-esteem Steven wonders why all the gems should even listen to him. A little late now to be asking those questions, but please do go on. Being mean Steven realizes he shouldn't be dumping all of this on the sentient plant. That's what the non-sentient plants are for. Getting a fathead Cactus Steven now looks exactly like Steven, and when he shows the gems, it turns out the cute little fella is also a snitch.
You don't even listen to me. I'm trying to be cool about it, but it feels so weird.
Oh my gosh!
Bro, not cool. Internally screaming, Steven runs away, and the gems sit around, not realizing that this is primarily their fault. I mean, if your kid is saying this,
I will fight to be everything that everybody wants me to be when I'm grown.
congrats, you failed as parents. Yelling at the plants some more, Steven explains that he can't talk to the gems because then they'll just blame themselves or be condescending, showing that after years of dealing with their problems, he can't see them as functional people anymore. They're just another issue he has to manage, which the writing more or less supports. Half-Heart Amethyst shows up and asks Steven if he needs to talk. He denies it, then she leaves. You know Steven wouldn't have given up like that. So the physical manifestation of Steven's bottled up emotions has turned into an ugly mess. I see what you did there. Going full horror film, the cactus is now a monster and attacking its creator, mimicking Steven's behavior, which causes the two to fight. Crystal gems show up to keep beating the poor plant, growing into a monstrosity and revealing all of Steven's negative feelings towards the gems. And guess who ends up saving the day? Yep, big shocker there. Hugging it out, the plants leave and all of Steven's feelings are out in the open. Oh boy, where do I begin? These two episodes took me forever to write a script about how I actually felt about them. It's not because they're bad, but to me there's just something off about them that I struggle to put into words. So for this first episode, I'm just gonna go positives then negatives until I start figuring out what I wanna say. So starting off.
Your training has come a long way.
I liked Lars in this episode. Surprising, I know. Now, if you've seen my videos, you know I don't like his character, and I hated in season 5 that all of his development happened off screen. In this episode, he's quite enjoyable. He feels like a guy that has finally figured himself out, and I can really appreciate that. He still has a couple of lines where he's snarky, but this time, it's usually only directed at people that actually deserve it. Also, I love his jacket. I have a similar one at home. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Steven Universe that has ever beaten me over the head this much with the message. The point of the episode is to show that Steven needs to be needed and doesn't want to let go of his friends. But nearly every other line in this episode is just reinforcing that, and I kind of hate it. Family Guy has more subtlety than this. I almost feel like the creators know that the last couple episodes derailed the whole Steven is imploding storyline. So rather than reordering the episodes, they just decide to make Sadie and Lars the crux for his breakdown. And it just feels so overly dramatic. And then for all his friends to get trapped in a bubble and then to have it all be spelled out by Shep just felt so forced. The thing that I actually like though, surprising, is that I really enjoyed the music. I've never been a fan of her rock songs, but I love her when she slows down and goes for a much softer vibe. And speaking of Sadie, I love that she and Lars just stay broken up. That relationship did not work, and they are so much better people when they are apart. Now, another negative, Shep. I'm just kidding with you guys. Shep's fine. It's neat that we get more non-binary representation. Their inclusion isn't a big deal to me, but it's huge for a lot of other people, and I think that's pretty cool. Overall, I feel like I would have enjoyed this episode more if I didn't feel like it was playing catch-up with itself. The story wanted now to be the moment when Steven breaks and starts self-reflecting, but I'm not convinced that this episode earned it. This also perpetuates the everyone ignores Steven's problems thing that I've noticed. Steven nearly killed all of his friends, and people just assumed him getting the bubble down would solve the problem. It felt like a cheap catharsis when the root of the issue is still being unaddressed. If the writers did this consciously, then I think that's brilliant, but it has a knock-on effect of making the others seem very uncaring, and maybe just a little bit stupid. On the other hand, this does fly in the face of the rest of the show, which is built around the idea of that quick cathartic moment. Now, on to Prickly Pear. This is the episode that broke me, but not in the way the show wanted it to. Steven is internalizing all of his problems and has no one to confide in, so he starts venting to his new talking plant. I like the idea, but it's not true in the slightest. He won't talk to the crystal gems. Okay, what about Connie? Pretty sure she would be able to help him through this. Or heck, why doesn't he speak to his dad? Hell, what about Peridot? Or Bismuth? Maybe even Lapis? And if you really want some good advice, Vidalia. He has options. Just because the characters aren't in this episode doesn't mean they're not there. And I'm sure a lot of people relate to this episode, and I get it. This story though feels like it's intentionally hiding solutions, which I dislike, because they have so much potential. The episode is basically designed to put Steven at a low point going into the next half of Future, but I'm not convinced he should be there. I want Future to be great, but so far it hasn't convinced me that it needs to exist. And this is a theory that I've had for a little bit as I watch the show, and it's really kind of reinforced it. I think that the movie, instead of making a musical about the lost toy and recapping everything, I think the movie should have been about Steven coming to grips with his need to help others, that he isn't responsible for everyone around him. Maybe even make the gems realize how much they put on Steven. You would have such a strong, impactful story. And having it in a movie, you could get it all out at once. But this dragging it out over a long period of time, it might make it more realistic, but that doesn't make the story better, especially when the show is built on those, you can change, I think I will. It's very much built itself on that, so for have it now be like, no, we're gonna treat this realistically, I'm like, are you really? Are you really that show? Now, I'm interested to see where the story goes from here, but I'm not excited. I'm just curious to see how they wrap this up. I followed the show this far, might as well see how it ends. Alright guys, I will be taking a break next week, for real this time, starting a new job, and I am incredibly burnt out after the last 2 weeks. So I'm probably just gonna chill out, relax to a nice balanced diet of Owl House and Castlevania Season 3. I swear I will get to you one day. Thank you all for watching. This has been Sarcastic Chorus. Please like, share, and subscribe. I've started a Patreon. I'm still playing around with the tier system, but if you'd like to get early access to my videos or catch my reaction videos to all the shows I've been reviewing, Patreon is the place to do it. Sign up, donate what you can. Every little bit helps. All right, peace out, Sarcastic fans, and you all stay honest.